My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Well, hey, everyone, welcome back. Today, zooming in from North Carolina, we have a very, very successful real estate entrepreneur and syndicator. Mr. Tim Vest has built up a significant portfolio of approximately 2,000 rental units, and he's doing these all across the southeast of the US of A. So, Mr. Tim Vest, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So Tim, give us a snapshot. What does real estate investing look like for you today as of the end of the year, 2024? Where are these properties? What kind of properties are they? That kind of good stuff.
Yeah, good question. So, most of our assets are located in the southeastern United States, with a heavy focus on North and South Carolina. We do have some in Virginia. We have about 500 units in the Alabama and Mississippi area. But our big focus is on North and South Carolina. Coming into the end of 2024, we've had a great year, great 12-month run, closed on 22 assets in the last 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody else is sucking wind, man. So you guys are doing something right. I mean,
yeah, we've been fortunate. I spent quite a bit of time working on deal flow for us, back quite frankly, going all the way back to COVID.
Yeah.
when deals weren't really happening those first 6 months of COVID, I just decided, hey, I'm gonna work on my network, work on deal flow.
Yeah.
And fast forward 2 years and it really started to pay off. We've scaled quite a bit over the last 24 to 30 months, with this last 12 months, being a big growth spurt for us.
So out of those 2,000 units, or maybe it's more now, like how many have come in over the last year?
Out of those 2,000 units over the last 12 months, just right at 800 of those in the last year.
Wow. So
Yeah.
almost 50% growth in 1 year.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's more than that. Because you're at 1,200, you added 800, now you're at 2,000. So you had way more than 50% growth.
Yeah. And during that whole time, we've been setting up our own property management company. So in that same year, we've been bringing all of our property management in-house. So it's been a challenge, but man, it's been great.
Okay, well, that was another question I had for you, Tim. How do you manage such dispersed properties? Because most of them are in the Carolinas, but a good chunk of them are in other states.
Right.
How do you guys keep all of that management in-house?
Yeah, so we brought it all in-house around March of 2023. We started to make that transition. And quite honestly, what we do is we're a lot of guys go after 100 units on one asset, right? And they deploy a manager on those. We have a little bit of a different strategy. We look at it as a radius, and we try to acquire somewhere between 80 to 110 units, 120 units within just say a 1 hour radius. And then we try to hire within that circle. So we deploy our teams based on that, and then we hire within that, as well as our maintenance guys. And then one of our big keys for us, since we're a value add team, is we bring all of our renovation in-house as well. And myself and our renovation lead, or our construction manager, he and I are on the road quite a bit. We're mobile, and we have some mobile renovation teams that really make it all come together.
So what size of if you kind of got one regional manager per 100, 120 units, like what size properties are they typically that you've got?
Yeah, so what we do is we put somewhere between 60 to 100 units with a property manager. And then our regional is set up. We have a regional for the Mississippi, Alabama market. We have a regional for the North Carolina, South Carolina market. So those property managers report into them. Then we have a vice president who manages all of our scorecard reporting. Basically, if you think about that asset management role, when
Yeah.
you have third party management, our vice president kind of plays that asset management role with our own internal property management company. And then we have a renovation construction lead that manages our construction crews. So that's kind of how we're set up.
Got it. But the individual properties, how many units are they on average each? Are they, it sounds like you're kind of in the medium sized space. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Our sweet spot's anywhere from say 30 to 60 units at
Nice.
an
Yeah.
asset. Now we have some outliers. We got something as small as 13 units. We have something as large as 128.
Mm.
But yeah, our sweet spot's in that 30 to 60 space is where we really do well.
Smart, smart. So you got the VP that kind of takes care of all of the managers. You've got regional managers, and then you've got like specific area managers that report to them, kind of thing. So,
That's right.
how many different regional managers and sub managers do you have underneath them, just to get an idea of what's
Yes.
involved?
So we have two regionals, one
Uh-huh.
for North and South Carolina, one for Alabama and Mississippi. And then we have basically what we do is we break our properties up into basically three. We try not to give any area or property manager more than three assets.
Hmm.
Um, and we try, and that tends to be around somewhere 80 to 110 units
Yeah.
across those three assets. Is typically how we like to do it.
So, how many of those guys do you have?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Must be like 8 to 10 of them, give or take, eight or so, I would
No,
think.
we have,
Or no,
uh,
maybe more because you got 2,000 units. Yeah, so probably closer to 20 then. Getting
yeah, I think we're at 22 property managers, because between property managers, maintenance guys, regionals, I think we're about 36 employees now.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's starting to get pretty big. Do your area managers live on site in one of the properties, or do they kind of have their own place? How does that usually work?
It depends, but in some
Yeah.
cases, yes. We have
Yeah.
a number of manager units that we have on our properties. That's right.
Well, that's a lot of growth in a relatively short period of time. I think you come from a corporate background, so did that kind of help with this transition?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It definitely helped from the systems and scaling part.
Yeah.
Where kind of where you bring in some of that corporate strategy is understanding when to throw people at a problem and when to throw a system at a problem. Um, where we're at right now is after that, big acquisition phase that we went through over the last 12 months is we're taking the next 2 months to really start to hone in on our efficiencies. So we're
Mm.
really focused on systems and process over the next couple of months because as you're scaling that quickly, it's real easy to just throw people, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I need labor, I need resources, I need capacity. And the quickest way to create capacity is just to hire somebody. But that starts to become a little bit inefficient, right?
Mhm.
So now we're going back and we're trying to create some efficiencies within the company.
Streamline it, yeah. But with that
Yeah.
kind of growth that fast, you gotta figure it out quickly, that's for sure, to get plug those holes. Um, cool, Tim. So you mentioned earlier that you spent the beginning of COVID really dialing in on your network to create deal flow, which took a while, but now it kind of hockey sticked on you. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that. What did that look like, or what does that look like for you guys for creating this kind of deal flow?
So we take a little bit of a different strategy than some groups. We see a lot of groups that'll go out there and they try to connect with the largest firms they can, right? We're a little bit opposite. I've always kind of had the preference and lean towards smaller boutique brokers, um,
Okay.
and with the understanding that or with the idea that they'll basically give me the time of day, right?
Mhm.
And as I was first starting out, that certainly was the case. I couldn't get the big, large brokerage houses to really give me much credence at all.
Yeah.
Um, so we went after the boutique brokers, um, and then from there, what we started to do is once we got something under contract or we closed on something, we really focused on closing quickly and making the process efficient and beneficial for the broker. I always tell the story of after we closed one of our first deals, the broker that we closed it with, he was like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I track my business in hours, dollars per hour." And he goes, "On this deal, you made me $4,200 per hour." And I'm like, well, hey, well, if you want to do it again, let me know. And sure, and sure
You
enough,
said, I think you deserve a raise. So there you
yeah.
go.
And so, and sure enough, he was like, man, I'm putting you in the top three. You're going to see everything I get on. And before long, he started to connect me with other sellers, direct the sellers. And then as we started to close on things, we started to realize, hey, that HVAC guy that shows up on our property, well, he's also the HVAC guy for the other property down the street, and he knows when the owner is tired of dealing with HVACs, right?
Yeah.
So we would start to put bugs in those guys' ear of, hey, if you know of a guy in the area who's maybe tired of dealing with this, just let us know. We're buyers. So we started to look under a lot of different rocks that some people don't think about, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the HVAC guy, obviously your closing attorney, and then obviously property managers. At the time, we were using third-party property management, and we would tell them, hey, let us know of any of your owners who want to sell, and then quite frankly, we'll use you guys for the property management. So um,
Nice.
that
That's
and then,
good.
and then after a couple of years of doing that, it really started to hockey stick, like you said.
Yeah. Well, that's really smart. I like what you talked about there with the boutique brokers. Now, how would you define a boutique broker? Like what does that even look like really? It's just like not somebody who's not working for one of the huge firms. Is that what I'm understanding?
Pretty much, either an independent guy or one of the brokers I work with quite a bit. He nobody works for him. He has his own shop, and then I work with a couple other guys who have their own shop, and maybe they have three or four other brokers under them. But
Mhm.
yeah, definitely smaller than the big names out there, where it's just you know an army of brokers out there pitching deals, right? And
Got it.
nothing against that. I've just had way more success with the smaller firms.
Yeah. Well, it's proofs in the pudding there for sure, Tim. So the other side of the equation is you got the deal flow going. What about the capital flow to buy these deals? Is your uncle Mr. Warren Buffett, or have you got a different source of funds for your deals?
No, no, old Warren is not my uncle, that's for sure. Nor do I have anybody, nor do I have an Elon Musk or a Jeff
Oh,
Bezos either.
darn.
So,
Hate it when that happens, huh?
yeah. So, no, good question. So when my business partner and I first started out, it was all friends and family, right?
Mhm.
And more friends than family. My family was kind of on the sidelines going, I want to see you do a couple first, you know?
God. Oh, the biggest
Uh,
skeptic sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, they're always right. It's like, yeah, I could go into a story about my mom too. And she'd probably watch this and she'd laugh. But, at the end of the day, it started out friends and family. And then over time, a lot of networking, a lot of kind of chasing down networking events and things like that. Fast forward about 2 years ago, we did our first deal with a fund,
Mm.
and we happened, based on our network, we happened to come across a fund that did not want to work with 15 operators. He was like, I want to work with like five operators, so that means you got to have deal flow. Well, lucky for me, I was able to go, well, I got deal flow.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
got more than I can buy. Um, so, because over the years, I've absolutely just handed deals off to people I know because I couldn't take them down. I didn't have the
Yeah.
capital. So yeah, so I was able to do that. And then based on some of our performance, my business partner and I, we've made a really good relationship with a small family office. So we have a family office that works with us now. Obviously, we still have the friends and family, repeat investors, the fund, and then we have another fund that we work with as well. So
Very cool.
that's
So
how
you
we're doing
don't
it.
really have to do work. You're not really doing very much with individual investors anymore. It's a couple of funds and the family office primarily.
Yeah, for the most part, if we're working with individual investors, it's the folks that were investing with us 4 and 5 years ago, right out of the
Hmm.
gate. So we do have, Tim, my business partner Tim, and I have, a pool of investors that we work with as well.
Hmm.
Probably, somewhere around 40, 45 individual investors that have been with us
Yeah.
for a while. But outside of that, yeah, it's mostly funds in the family office. That's right.
Well, I'm sure there's some people listening to this kind of going, okay, how do I get the attention of a fund? if, any tips or suggestions on how people can make a connection like you have with a fund or even a family office? You
You
have
know,
to
when
pay attention.
yeah. So what I will tell you is we went after a couple of funds for about 3 years.
Mm,
Consistently going after them, and we had quite a bit of interest. But it was always we want to see a track record. We want to see a
mhm,
track record. So to be honest, guys, like you're going to need a track record, right?
mhm.
So over time, we built our track record. And then over that same amount of time, one of the things that we always heard, well, two things. One of the things that we always heard was we want to see enterprise level reporting, right? Like some of the funds would come to us and they would say, some of these guys that we work with, they don't produce the reporting that we like.
Mhm.
So, all credit to my business partner, Tim Vitale. Tim really focused in on our reporting. And so if you saw our financial reporting for all of our assets, you would expect this to be coming out of a REIT or a much larger company. In fact, one of the funds that we work with took our template, rolled it out to all the other guys and said, this is what I want you to produce.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that level of reporting was a big win for us. Um, and then the second piece was we listened when guys would give us feedback and they were like, you need a track record and we really want your maintenance and management to be in-house.
Ah,
So that was one of the big pivot moments for us is like, we need to bring this in-house.
you got to be
We had a,
vertically integrated, as they say, right? That's the
yeah,
big thing. Yeah.
and yep. And we had a mentor in our ear for a couple of years saying, you really need to bring it in-house. You guys should be doing this. And then we finally just said, we're going to do it. And since that time, the family office came on board. The second fund came on board. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you want to attract the big boys, you got to start playing like the big boys, right? And give them what they're looking for, and the reporting and having everything vertically integrated was what they needed,
Yeah, that and
and the
I
track
think
record. Yeah,
in the track record, but I
yeah,
also think it helps to be able to look at them and say, hey, we bet with you. You gave us this feedback and we heard you. And here's the
Mhm.
proof. We did it. Right.
So
Um,
you went back to those guys that they kind of brushed you off and said, we want better reporting and we want you to have everything integrated." They might not have thought you were going to actually do it. You did, and then you went back to them and said, "Hey, thanks
yeah.
for the input. We've done it. Pony up."
Yeah. 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 Where's the check?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know I think it sounds kind of simple in principle, but it's really what it comes down to. Cause I mean, we had a lot, believe me, guys, we had a lot of meetings with different funds and different equity partners and stuff like that. And we heard a ton of no's, right? Um,
Yeah.
like we like what you're doing. We like your returns, but we need to see these things.
Yeah.
And it just took a lot of, okay, we heard this, but let's go do this. We heard this, let's go do that. And over time, it started to pay off.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Tim, as we're wrapping up our conversation, what are your plans for the next year or so? Where do you guys see yourselves going?
Yeah, so over the next couple of months, it's going to all be systems and processes,
Mhm.
kind of building our teams. We've been working heavily on how to better compensate and better reward our teams.
Mhm.
And then from there, we're really going to be integrating more AI into our business and
In
business
in
model.
what in what respect? How's AI going to make a difference with you guys?
Yeah, so deal flow, we'll
Okay.
utilize it for deal flow. And then we're gonna integrate it into our investor communications.
Okay.
As you can imagine, investor reporting, as we've scaled across 30 plus assets now, investor reporting every quarter has become a more cumbersome process for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to start integrating AI into that piece.
Smart.
Um, yeah, and that was again the fund. One of the funds actually sat down and talked to us about that, and we heard them, and we're going to start implementing that piece. And then about February and March, we'll start to pick back up on the acquisition side. So
Very, very
I
cool.
think that's the next year for us.
Well, that sounds like a good plan. All right, Tim, if people would like to connect with you and find out more, where should they go?
Yeah, so I think, guys, I got to be honest. I think the best place to find me is on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Just Tim Vest on LinkedIn. I'm out there every day, so connect with me there.
Awesome. Tim, thanks very much for being on the show and congratulations. Sounds like you guys are going great guns.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.